What's going on, guys? It's the new year, which means many of you are back at it again. You're on your annual diet. Hopefully you are partaking in this 30 under 20 challenge that we're doing. But before we begin, I wanted to just go over some things I think could help set you up for success. Just really quickly to touch on what the challenge is. It's really basic. 30 days of under 20 grams of net carbs to start the year. We're going to start on the 4th. It's a Monday. And basically just do it for 30 days. That will get yourself to some level of proficiency in being fat adapted. You'll have conquered a lot of your cravings, a lot of your mental hunger. It'll be more physical. You'll actually be more in touch with your body. 30 days is a good amount of time to where you can adjust and kind of just get back in control of things. But for the challenge here, you really got to ask yourself, what do you want to get out of this? And why is this time going to be different? By now, for most of you, this is not your first rodeo. You've done some sort of dieting in the past. Maybe it's worked for you. Odds are it hasn't, because everyone's heard the statistics. 95% of people either fail to lose weight or they lose weight and they regain it. So you got to really put yourself in the mindset. How am I going to be different? What's going to make me be in that 5%, whereas most people fail? And it's really easy. There's one easily identifiable variable that no one wants to do, no one is able to stick to. It's not doing something extremely hard for a short period of time. You've done that before. We've all done that. Everyone can do that. That's easy. It gives you the impression that it's really hard doing some sort of like lemonade, maple syrup, the cayenne pepper, that kind of cleanse thing, something really hard and foreign and uncomfortable for 10 days. That seems hard. It's fake hard. It's not really hard. Anyone can get motivated for 10 days. What's hard is waking up day after day, consistency, doing something that's somewhat uncomfortable, minorly uncomfortable for an extended period of time, potentially the rest of your life. Although over time, if you do it for a really long time, it's no longer uncomfortable. You can develop a comfort zone of eating healthy. That's the first thing you really got to think about. This isn't a short-term thing. It's not a shortcut. It is a 30-day challenge, but you have to think longer than that. The 30 days is going to set you up for ideally the rest of your life. Get over this idea. You have to let this current form of yourself die. You're no longer the person that snacks on the couch and watches Netflix, potato chips, popcorn, all that type of stuff. You have to really let that person die. A lot of us going into the diet, we are not fully ready to leave that person behind us. We are doing something for the short term that's going to fix our body, make us look good, and then we can go back to being that person. That's how a lot of us think. You can't think like that. You got to be a totally new person and make some big changes if you want to have long-term success. And then the next thing is, since you've probably done diets before in the past, a lot of them being like crash yo-yo style diets, really low calories. I was on the internet the other day looking up, just trying to get some ideas for what we can do in the new year to get people motivated. I was looking up meal plans. Weight Watchers meal plans. A lot of them are like 600 calories a day, 1,100 calories a day, really low calories. That is going to get you short-term results, which is what most people are seeking, and long-term failure. That is really what leads to this 95% statistic. Because when you do something like that, you have the illusion that you're the one failing. It's your willpower that's letting you down, when really no one can have the willpower to eat 600 calories a day for a really long time. There's always going to be that rebound effect. It's not you. It's the whole protocol that you're doing. That's the problem. So to counteract that, in this 30 under 20 challenge, you really want to just have the primary goal being every day under 20 net carbs. What that doesn't mean is extreme calorie restriction. Sandbagging all your calories until dinner time so you can have like a really big dinner. Like a lot of people, when we start tracking, that's what we do. Don't do that. Eat when you're hungry, eat till you're full, and repeatedly do that over the course of these 30 days, keeping it under 20 net carbs. That's really all there is to it. The main thing, though, this is hard for people that are in the weight loss New Year's Day mindset to do, is when you wake up and you have breakfast, you don't want to have a 300-calorie breakfast. You want to have a substantial filling breakfast. You also want to have substantial filling lunch and dinner, or however many meals you want to do. That's really up to you. And the timing, you can mess around with all of those things. For now, just focus on the one thing, the carbs. Don't eat small meals. It's ingrained in us that dieting is supposed to be really hard and uncomfortable, and we're supposed to be hungry. If you're hungry, that means it's working. That's not what we're going for here. We're going for a completely different paradigm. You have to admit that the old one didn't work or hasn't worked for you in the past, and it really just doesn't work, where you're consciously restricting calories. The calorie restriction isn't something you should actively focus on. It shouldn't be your aim and your goal. That should be the thing that comes naturally, the calories. What you want to focus on is the carbs. The carbs will lead, the calories will follow. Over the course of the 30 days, you can also slowly transition to eating more and more whole foods. That's going to be a good thing to do, but it's not mandatory. The only mandatory thing, remember, is the 20 net carbs. That's what we're focusing on. That's mission number 1, because once we accomplish mission number 1, everything else is actually very easy, or it becomes at least easier than it was before. New Year's rolls around and we're really motivated. That means a lot of us are in some sort of a peak where we're exercising a lot, we're doing a lot of calorie restriction. Anytime you're at a really high peak, eventually a valley follows, which is where you're your worst form of yourself, where you're eating chips, popcorn, Oreos, all that stuff, sitting on the couch, not really doing much, not being productive, not being the person you want to be. So instead of perpetuating that cycle where you have these really high highs and then the lows, the extreme lows, number 1, the first step, instead of trying to correct on the bottom when your willpower is really low and your motivation, you're just in a slump, try correcting at the peak. So January 4th, when we're starting this challenge, to me, that's going to be a peak for a lot of people. So instead of going super hard with all of these different things you're trying to incorporate into your life to become a better person, drop it down a little bit. Start somewhere below your typical peak so that your valley is not as low, because there is going to come a valley. As much as when you're sitting there on January 4th, you're thinking this is the new person that you're going to be. Of course, there's going to come a time in the future where you're less motivated. But if you're not going so extremely hard at the beginning, the valley is not going to be as deep either. So you're going to eventually just have this like comfortable medium where you're really progressing day after day, even if you're motivated, even if you're not motivated. You really want to get out of like the feast and famine mindset. Another big thing for this challenge is just focus on the big things. Don't worry at all about the small things. What are the small things? Maybe what breaks a fast? How much cream am I putting in my coffee every morning? Should I have artificial sweeteners or not? Different things like that, they don't really matter. What matters is 20 net carbs. That's the only thing. That's 80%, the 80-20 principle. Just stay under 20 net carbs to begin with for these 30 days. Maybe once you feel like you have that kind of conquered, you can slowly start adding in different things. And the biggest thing is really, like I said in the beginning, before embarking on this 30-day challenge, really reflect. What have you tried in the past? What hasn't worked? Learn from the mistakes. There's no point in making the mistakes if you're not going to learn from them and become a better person. So me, for example, I tried a bunch of different diets, and each time it kind of taught me something new. The first thing I tried when I wanted to get health conscious and lose weight was 1,500 calories a day. Just plug that in because I looked up online and it was like, oh yeah, just do 1,500 calories. When I was a college athlete, plus I'm really big, I'm 6'4", I needed like 3,500 calories a day at that point. So to go to 1,500, yeah, the results I got were really quick and pretty extreme. I lost a lot of weight, but it's not at all sustainable. So I had a huge rebound effect. Domino's was getting a lot more business. It just definitely was not working for me in the long term. But I didn't tie those things together at the time. I was just, to me, it was a failure of willpower. Like I lost the willpower, I lost the motivation. Come to find out, the 1,500 calories is directly responsible for the increased Domino's orders 2 months later. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. That's just how it works. You have to tie those things together. So for a lot of us, I would say just based on, kind of watching the internet, watching TV, the mainstream sentiment is restrict calories to an extreme degree to get extreme results quickly. That doesn't work. You got to get over that. You have to kind of analyze what you've done in the past. Why hasn't it worked? And ideally, what I'm saying to you, hopefully it's making a lot of sense and you're putting some things together and you're like, oh, that does make a lot of sense because I can never stick to my diet. So if we completely let that idea of dieting die, leave it in the past, let's try adopting something new, the 30 under 20 challenge, stick with it for 30 days. We do have another website. It's The Curve, jointhecurve.com, where we have a little bit of a community, which is a big part of dieting, especially now everyone's locked down and it's just like not a lot of human contact. It's tough because that's a big part of sticking to things is the accountability. So social media is a good way to get some accountability. Obviously, your friends in your life is great if you can hang out with them and stuff. But we also have the Curve, which is a monthly membership site where we're building a community. Just hang out, share tips, tricks, what's working for you. Down the road, we'll add things that the community wants. Whatever is going to help people eat healthy and just get healthier in the long run, we'll be adding that to the Curve over time. So join up there if you really want some added accountability. Right now, there's about 12 different courses from different contributors. So those are the big tips. That's what's going to help you stick to this thing. This year has to be different, guys. You don't get too many years. You got to take advantage of them. Don't do the fake hard things. Do the really hard things. The hard things is being consistent over time. The fake hard thing is doing something hard for a few days and going back to the old ways. So let's do something really hard, challenging, that's going to make us better people this year. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully this helped you, kind of change your perspective. If you guys use Instagram, we have a shareable Instagram story template that you can put and just stay accountable. It's a checkmark type of a template just to show that you accomplished what you set out to do each day, and then hopefully we can get accountability that way as well. So thanks for watching and best of luck, guys.